All right, joined by Mathias Jorgensen, better known as Zanka, and maybe just to start on your nickname actually, because people might want the explanation for why that exists. It comes from the film Cool Runnings, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, it's yeah, I had it since I was 10. Um, Basically based off an event when I was 10 years old, going home in a car. We had to ram a lot of people, cram a lot of people in a car, and I was sat at the passenger seat, in front of the passenger seat. I felt like it was a little bit of a bobsleigh. Just watched the movie Cool Runnings and acted a little bit out like it was a bobsleigh, and then my coach looked at me and said, "Oh, we'll call you Zanka from now on."
Obviously, you're involved in football. Did you ever have dreams of going into winter sports or bobsleigh, or is that just film only? Leave it there.
Yeah, film only. I think
Yeah.
it's a little bit glorified in that movie, so we'll
Yeah.
leave it at that.
I think I have the right hair to appear in that
Yeah,
film
definitely.
anyway. But
Yeah, you could be more Zanka than I would.
yeah, definitely. Actually, just maybe turning to the football, obviously, it was a 0-0 draw last night. The last time you came to Dublin, unfortunately for us, you destroyed our World Cup dreams. We lost 5-1, and, well, look, you had a good World Cup as well. But maybe just on the game last night, you were up against Shane Long, who obviously you will come up against in the Premier League. How difficult is he to come up against as a forward, because he is a hard-working player?
Yeah, definitely. I think he's well respected in the Premier League, and of course the boys that play with him in Southampton know him very well. He's a handful. I think he was a bit alone, working on a little bit a quite tough job against two strong centre halves yesterday. But you see at times holding up the ball well and trying to distribute from his position, and of course fighting. So I think all in all he played a good game against very tough opposition.
And given how the result last year worked out, did you have to approach this game a bit different mentally, knowing that maybe Ireland have something to prove, because specifically it is Denmark coming over here?
Yeah, I think so. I think definitely if you look at the way that they used the game, and the way that they went into the game, is they stood back, defended, and it was very much like the first game in Denmark last year. And I think so that of course that made it a little bit more difficult for us. We had the chances, but we didn't take them, and it was a 0-0.
Yeah, and the World Cup, of course, went quite well from a Danish perspective. You were unlucky against the team that went on to reach the World Cup final. You actually scored in that game, if I remember well, as well. Can you just take us back to that moment?
Yeah, of course. Looking back at that game, it's a roller coaster ride of emotions and things. So scoring a goal, things going up and down, conceding a goal afterwards, losing in penalties. But the whole experience was amazing. It was great, and of course we would have wanted to go further, and we think we had the team for it, but it didn't happen, and now we're set on the Euros.
Yeah, and always a question for some of the great, well, facing some of the great players in the world. Luka Modric, of course, won the best player in the world there in the FIFA awards there recently. Coming up against him, how did you find it?
Yeah, I think we had a lot of respect for especially the midfield and attack of Croatia. It's world-class players playing very high level. So against that, you just kind of learn. You try to improve and try to kind of elevate your game to your opponents, and I think we did that really well that game. And you just got to respect those guys.
Yeah, and a final question. Huddersfield Town, obviously, that's who you're playing with at the moment. Last season managed to survive, a great achievement for what is actually a fairly small club in terms of the Premier League ones. This season, the challenge, obviously, it's always hard to do. We often hear the term second season syndrome. That's the challenge for you this time.
Yeah, definitely. We knew that it's going to be even more difficult to do well. We did really well last year. But then again, well, you gotta look at it in a smart way, and we got a few points. We haven't gotten the points that we deserve, but we will when it all comes out, and it's a long season, so we'll get there.
Okay, perfect. Thanks very much. Thank you.